Zach Abraham from Bulwark Capital Management. And today, Daisy and I have been kind of on like this AI kick on our regular morning show. We've been talking a lot about it lately and how it's basically going to be the end of the world as we know it at some point.
I truly believe that. I really
Yeah.
believe it's going to be the
It's
end
some
of
scary stuff.
of civilization. Yeah.
But there are some handy things about some of it some of the time. And
Really?
one of the, well, yeah, because
Really?
remember when I like looked up the results of my MRI, which were written
Yes.
in like med speak and I couldn't understand a word of it. And then I put it into AI and it translated it into layman's terms and it was really super helpful. So for stuff like examples like that, okay, fine. And now it turns out there was I guess a viral Reddit post that talked about how a family uses ChatGPT to analyze their spending in their like for their household budget. And then I guess they can, put in all of their expenses in a month and then ChatGPT gives them a little analysis that says you're spending too much on groceries or you're spending too much on whatever. And so the question for you, because you are a financial expert, would you trust ChatGPT to analyze your family budget? Why or why not?
Well, it's funny you should ask. Because I was decidedly more pro ChatGPT until this Friday, where my wife and I, my wonderful wife, and I had one of those classic, like, I don't want to make it too dramatic because it really wasn't, but one of those classic kind of like back and forth kind of tiffs over text message. We weren't on the same page.
Uh-huh.
And she decided, and I think quite unfairly, to take all of our text messages and process them through ChatGPT and provided me proof, according to ChatGPT, that I was being a bit disrespectful and what was the other term? That I was being disingenuous with some of the comments.
Wait, so the robot said this? The robot told you that this was the case. Is that what happened?
She asked it like in trying to prove her point. She asked, if you were a therapist, how would you record this? Now, one of the things that frustrated me is, in my opinion, the text message that were selected were extraordinarily biased. So there was not a good sample size.
There's no nuance in text messages. Like you could just be like K. Like that's how seriously, that's how my husband answers me all the time. I'll be like this long drawn out question. He'll be like K.
Yeah. Sometimes I just respond with the thumbs up, but that makes her really mad.
This apparently is what men do. Like men and women communicate very differently.
Yeah. So anyway, I sat there and got that text from my wife, and I was like, "Oh man, now ChatGPT's getting in on it."
Yeah.
No, is this stuff helpful? Absolutely. I mean, I know for a fact it can help out with people's personal finances because we're using it here. More so a program called Perplexity, which we actually like better than ChatGPT. We're using it on our, it's helping us a lot on our.
What does Perplexity do? What is Perplexity?
Perplexity is another AI that was launched, another LLM that, in my opinion, and in many different ways, is further along in its applications as they apply to everyday life. So my head of research has it. He was telling me the other day he was driving into work, and he asked Perplexity, "Hey, teach me about the Spanish Civil War." And he goes, "Over the next 30 minutes, I got this audible lesson on the Spanish Civil War on my drive to work."
Okay, that is kind of handy. That's handy.
It's really neat. But to get to your point, and I don't want to go too far down the wonkish, like nerdy physics side of things, but what is interesting to me when you look at the world today is how many things you see at turning points. Meaning, what you're effectively watching in the world today is you're watching the world order as we've all come to know it post World War II. You're watching that unravel. At the same time, you're watching a whole new age that is called AI emerge, right? You're also watching a whole new paradigm where those, and this to me is not conspiratorial. I think if you look around the world, it's very hard to argue, but a large swath of those in power would like state sovereignty, as we've known it our entire lives, to be something decidedly different, right? Which is, if you look at like the mass immigration into so many of these countries, in a way that when you look at it, the way that they keep these conversations quelled is anybody that says anything about mass immigration is, of course, racist. But
Right.
you immigrate that many people into a country like Ireland that fast, okay, there's no way you don't do that without destroying the historical culture
Totally.
of that society, right?
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
and so watching all of these things come to the fore, including the United States no longer being a single polar power, right? Kind of splitting that up with China. There is reason to be very concerned about AI. I think it's kind of crazy not to be. Um, and if we've learned anything from human beings, we'll probably run into this probably too recklessly. And it's kind of one of those things. It's kind of like a Star Trek, right? It's a brave new world, which we don't really know the implications of. And one of the things that concerns me about it is that you have all of these people that have grown up in the relative calm that has been post World War II. And so all of these things are happening at a time where I think that the human beings have kind of lulled themselves, right? Really bad. I mean, look, bad things, but I mean, globally bad things. When we look at history, globally bad things have been widely averted for the last 80 years, right? And if you look back through history, that's an anomaly, right? It's not the norm.
Like we're due.
Yeah.
We're due for some shit.
Yeah, and I think yeah, and I think you're seeing the groundwork for it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty wild. I mean, go look at it's just some pretty wild stuff. If you go look at, now I know we've been there before with Japan, but not on the same scale. If for a good idea of what you're up against, you should go look at this car that BYD is Chinese, or is it Xiaomi? One of the Chinese manufacturers just put out this electric vehicle that they're charging $35,000 for. There's nothing we have here to compete with it. So now you're
It's
getting
so true.
Chinese.
I know what you're talking about. My husband showed that to me about a week ago, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I'm. It's amazing, and you're right. We can't compete with that.
Not right now, and
Right.
not with the systems that we have in place. And
Mhm.
what I'm hoping is that AI will assist us in waking up. So, for instance, when I say waking up, what is it? We have an existential threat to the U.S. Domestic automobile manufacturing complex. If they don't get it together and if they don't do it really quick, I think you could potentially see the U.S. automobile manufacturing industry effectively dead in the water within
I
5 years.
totally agree with you on that. Absolutely, 100%. Yep.
Why?
Because
I get it.
our cars suck here, and like the one, like what he's talking about, like that one that in China that I'll have to find a link. We'll have to share it with our people. It
You're,
is
you're ta- yeah,
it's
35
night and
grand.
day. Yeah.
35 grand. You're getting almost 600 miles of range on a single charge. It's
Right.
got 320 horsepower.
And the technology inside of it is unbelievable. It's like,
That's all I care about. I just want to be super comfortable. And
oh,
have it
she's
make me
gonna,
dinner and
you'd
do all
be
the
so
things.
comfortable. Like it basically wipes your butt. I mean, it's unbelievable. You know,
And that I actually believe that they have a bidet add-on.
I think there may be a bidet in there. There may be. I have a question for you both. I know
Yeah.
this is like, just speaking of AI, I'm going to quiz you both and just see if you can answer me correctly. All right. You're a financial advisor. Mock is a podcaster. Okay. She's not a financial advisor, but she knows a lot about saving money. Okay. Because she's way better at it than I ever have been, because she's been saving since she was like 3 years old. Okay.
A squirrel. She's like a
Okay.
squirrel.
She is like a squirrel. I looked at ChatGPT. Do not cheat. I looked at ChatGPT, okay, and I asked, what is the thing that people waste money on the most that keeps them from saving? Tell me what you think that thing is. I want to know what you think. What do you think it is? What do you think?
I was just going to say that because that's what we spend tons of money on.
Yes, you guys are right.
Yeah.
I mean, because I already know this about myself.
Oh my God. It's regular dining at restaurants, coffee shops, and ordering delivery. Adds up fast. It's convenient, but it costs significantly more than home cooking. That is what it is. That's the number one. And the number two is unused subscriptions, which okay. And the number three is just like impulse purchases. That's it. I thought it would be something like cars or something like that. Nope. This is why I'm a dumbass. This is why.
You see, but here's a tough part. It's all about how we clarify, right? So we could sit there and be like, yeah, the craziest amount that this family spends is this amount per month on meals and everything like that. But because the payments are within the normal rounds,
Right.
I might look at it and say they're spending $2,000 a month on car payments. That isn't ridiculous either. Where I sat there and look at it as I go, look, and this involves some nuance here, but when we're having discussions about what is good and what is right as far as your personal budget goes, unfortunately, a lot of it has to do in relationship to your income, right?
Right.
So if I'm sitting there dealing with a surgeon, let's say, that makes, $800,000 a year and he's a client of mine, am I concerned because he got beneficial interest rates? Am I concerned that he has $2,500 of car payments a month? No. Now, as a friend and advisor, I'd probably tell him, hey, is there a reason why you're doing that? Because why not just roll, no debt and all that kind of stuff? But if he's sitting there and he's telling me, look, Zach, I've got the amount that I was going to pay cash on those cars sitting in these accounts, earning interest. I'm using that to help me pay down the debt faster. That's one thing. But most people don't do that. The biggest issue that we see, quite honestly, is, would people be better off not ordering out? Yes, of course, right? Ordering out as much coffee. We've talked about that.
Oh my God, the coffee. That's guilty. Guilty.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, that's such an easy one to break.
Oh my God. Is it easy to break, Zach? I mean, it's like heroin at this point. I go to start. I'm a coffee guy. I've got to have my 2 cups of coffee before my brain evolves. Right? Me too.
I probably go to Starbucks maybe like 6 times a year.
Oh my gosh.
I make it at home.
Okay.
But I'm a guy that still cuts his own hair too. So
do you use a Flowbee?
I do that when I was broke.
Do you use a Flowbee? Is it a Flowbee? We need to know if it's a Flowbee.
It's not a Flowbee. I wish it. This is like legitimate, like hair clippers in the mirror.
We know what we're getting in for Christmas. We're getting you a Flowbee for Christmas.
I mean, actually, I had a buddy in high school who had a Flowbee.
We're going to bedazzle it. We're bedazzling a Flowbee and we're sending it. That's what we're getting.
Yes.
Without question.
That can't, as long as you both sign it. If I get a bedazzled Flowbee that's signed by both of you, I mean, I might just hang it up. When I was like, hey, I've reached my zenith. It's all downhill from here.
This was like the most off the rails conversation ever.
I just figure out how to fit Andrew Tate in there somewhere.
That's because we were talking about him off air. We'll have to save that for another day.
We need to talk about him for sure with you. We're going to do that. Maybe next week we'll talk about Andrew Tate. I know you're dying to talk about him. Yeah,
I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan.
We know you are. We know.
No. Yeah, I've got a daughter, so no, I'm not a fan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I know that you are doing one of your famous webinars coming up soon. Do you want to tell people how they can register for your webinars?
And this is basically our whole thing. Is I love to just kind of put out who we are, what we do, how we do it. Not a big sales push, but give people an insight into those things: who we are, how we do, and how we do it. And it kind of gives them a trial run. If they're interested, then they can schedule a conversation with me or one of our other advisors. If not, hopefully they leave more educated, more informed. So yeah, go to our website, bulwarkcapitalmanagement.com, sign up. A prompt will come up, and you'll get sent a login email that'll give you access to that webinar on Thursday. And yeah, it's pretty simple stuff. And hopefully folks will log on and learn something.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, Zach, as always.
Thanks, Zach.
All right, ladies, stay away from Andrew Tate, and I'll see you soon.
Investment advisory services offered through Track Financial LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Track 24244.